What's going on, YouTube? This is SG1 Sports, and you're watching our ACC football channel. In our 2019 college football schedule previews continue with Syracuse. You can see their schedule on your screen. It's not that difficult. They have a fairly favorable schedule, I think. This team surprised a lot of people last year, going 10-3. Now, if Will Grier had been in that bowl game, perhaps they don't beat West Virginia and they finish 9-4. But still, that was a successful season. I didn't have very high hopes for this team. They surprised me. Eric Dungey, though, is gone at quarterback. They have some other losses really scattered throughout their roster, but they don't have any major losses outside of Dungey. We'll see if Tommy DeVito is ready to step in at quarterback. Got some experience last year, and he could really be the key to this team. He could really determine how far they go in 2019. As you look at the schedule, they open up with a road game against Liberty. That could be interesting. Maryland on the road, also going to be a tough game there. Clemson, then Western Michigan and Holy Cross. On the road at NC State on a Thursday night. Pittsburgh at Florida State. Boston College at home. On the road at Duke. On the road at Louisville. And then Wake Forest to close it out. So they avoid Miami, they avoid Virginia, and they avoid Virginia Tech, arguably the three top teams out of the Coastal, at least in my opinion. Instead, they're going to face Duke, who I think is going to be down a little bit, and then they're going to face Pittsburgh, who could be a challenge. That would be an old Big East matchup there, I guess. Syracuse and Pittsburgh. That'll be interesting. And we know they've played Clemson tough the last couple of years, beat them 2 years ago. And they get them at home, so perhaps they're able to pull off another huge upset. Again, I think you could make a case that they could win pretty much every game on their schedule, but there are a lot of games on the schedule that they could lose. They could lose to Maryland. They could obviously lose to Clemson. They could lose on the road at NC State. Could lose to Florida State on the road. Could lose to Duke on the road. Even Wake Forest at the end of the year. So it's kind of tough to project what this record is going to look like at the end of the season. I think we can give them one basically a guaranteed win, and that is a win over Holy Cross. I don't see that being a challenge for them, obviously an FCS opponent. Then you go to that next tier and you look for the games that Syracuse should be able to win. They might be fairly close, might be a two-score game or something like that, might be a close game at halftime that they pull away in. And I think Liberty, again, a pretty solid team, but I think they're better than Liberty, and I think Western Michigan, same thing. They're able to win those games. So those are going to be games that they should be able to win, not guaranteed wins, but I like Syracuse to win both of those games. Now, you look at the rest of the schedule. You look at the toughest challenges. I think Maryland on the road is going to be a tough challenge. I think that's going to be a good team. I think Clemson is going to be a very difficult game. NC State I'm not real high on, but it's a Thursday night game. That could be tricky. Florida State on the road. That one's going to be tough. To me, those are the four toughest games on the schedule. They could lose to some of these other teams, obviously. Pittsburgh is going to be pretty good. Wake Forest, I think, is going to be a challenging team. Louisville might be impressed. It's on the road. Duke's on the road. So they could lose some more of these games. But there are four games that really stand out to me that I think are going to be the most difficult games. Not necessarily the four best teams, but just the four most difficult games because of where they fall on the schedule, like NC State on a Thursday night, things like that. So I think best case scenario is you get a win in one of those four games, or perhaps you win a couple of them but then slip up somewhere else on the schedule. I think 9 wins is most likely the best case scenario for the Syracuse team. Again, if you look at the regular season, that's what they did last year. These projected win totals are only based off of the regular season. So yes, they could get back to 10 wins. They could go 9-3, win a bowl game, and be right back to 10-3. I think that's possible. But I think it's also possible that they fall maybe even as far as 6-6. Again, you look at Maryland, Clemson, NC State, Florida State, and then perhaps a road game against Duke that they lose, or perhaps a game against Pittsburgh or Boston College. I mean, the schedule is not horrible, but there are plenty of teams that are capable of beating Syracuse. Plenty of teams that would win if Syracuse does not bring their A game. So I think you're looking at a win total of anywhere from 6 to 9. 8 is probably about where I would guess right now. Again, that's not an official prediction. Still a lot of analysis to do on all of these teams. We'll break them all down and do a little bit more research. But just a first thought, look at it. I think, yeah, maybe about 8-4, something like that for this Syracuse team. Again, if Tommy DeVito comes out and plays like a Heisman candidate, they could maybe even go beyond that 9-win total, because there aren't really any teams on the schedule that you're going to say they have no chance against. Even Clemson, with what they've done in the past, perhaps they have a chance in that game at home. So it'll be interesting to see how it shakes out. I think, again, between 6 and 9 wins, something like that. Thank you for watching this video. If you are an ACC football fan, please subscribe to the channel. Leave us your thoughts down in the comments below. And for the latest in ACC football, keep it right here.